Hello everybody, welcome back to my very messy table, and with a little foreshadowing of videos here. But today we're not here to talk about that. Today I'm here to talk about a recent character, especially designed for Halloween, maybe. This one is Ghost Shockwave or Monster Shockwave, or any other weird name that you want to give him. I'm open to all suggestions and all ideas. So, this is the shockwave that I've been working on for about a few days. I know, right? It doesn't even look like it'd be something I'd work on for 2 days. Although, the color palettes definitely do look like I would definitely work on that for 2 days. So, definitely. I do have a bit difference in camera quality, although I don't really know if you can definitely see it too good. It looks kind of fuzzy. I do know that. So, see, like that definitely looks a lot more better. So we're just gonna focus on that right now. So I'll kind of move the screen up and then move down as I go. So first, let's just look at these kind of intricate details all over the body. So we'll just focus on the top and then go to the bottom. So the bottom, even though I said it differently, is actually a lot more compact and sleek and clean compared to the difference. This is just a kind of reused foot from a Lego set. I don't know what it was, but it's just completely reused. It's just some pieces to keep it together. With a slight kind of weird looking calf. It's out of focus. And then these are supposed to be bone pieces, depending on where you kind of want to use it. They're like Cybertronian bones. And then, oh, I don't want that to fall. Focusing on the back here, because he's kind of too big to kind of focus on such a phone camera. We have the back, which is where the bone pieces are, as I said, and then the whole spinal cord piece. And let's just look at the back right now. So the back wasn't really too hard to work on, because I didn't really want to work on the back, as I thought it would be a great attention to detail to make the back kind of empty and have no reason to be extremely designed well. So that's that. He looks pretty good. He has that kind of Bumblebee movie barrel there, and then some uncolored parts. And then the side is pretty sleek, you know, nothing too interesting, with a few hinges there and ball joint connections that are clearly visible. And then as we focus onto the front, definitely took a lot. The front took a lot more effort than it did the legs. Like, these were really simple to do, especially its engineering. But this was a lot more harder, because I needed the shoulders to work on the base of the torso, because the torso was a lot more blocky and less angular than it was this. This was just a bust I wanted to create just to kind of hype people on TikTok, but that definitely comes a long way with this design, and I really do love how it turned out. I do like the ghostly or bluish kind of eye color. Even though he does have yellow in there, I did want that to show as if he kind of doesn't really have any soul, because you can just have a beady yellow eye, but this definitely gives him just like zero expression, like he can't move. So, and all of this mixed color design is actually intentional, as this is pretty much like an IDW take, but a lot more tragic, as he's pretty much, this whole design is meant to torture his everyday life. So the arms are super thin. You cannot go through it. It's super fragile, super easy to break it. And the can is just too heavy for him. And on top of that, he can't use his hands, which I'm actually going to show off, to do proper speeches. As this one is just enhanced to look kind of ugly looking. It's not supposed to look like something a senator would speak in. So he looks too like large to be a senator, which was the whole point I wanted to do. And this is actually pretty much his frame. So, like, think of it as a whole chunked portion was just torn off from Shockwave when he was a senator, and they just plated a few pieces on top of it to kind of cover it rather than making it too open. So there's not that much sympathy with the torso. And then this piece is just I don't really know what you would think of that. Maybe it's pretty much an original truck mode, but since due to everything, he just kind of changed. And I did want this thing to become intentionally loose, as it's super heavy but also very lightweight, so whenever he moves it and it goes down, it embarrasses him trying to speak. So all of this was due to Sentinel Prime. So now what I like to think is, because of Transformers 1, with him killing all the Primes, I do want to think of that universe, but kind of different, where all of the leftover kind of Prime parts that he dismantled, that like were all over the floor, he took those in and then used it for Shockwave. So that's why he's kind of a mess. These purples are from Megatronus Prime. The blue maybe can be for, I don't know, if you guys are tuned. Like, I'm really nerdy about Transformers, but I tend to forget some of the Prime's names. Like, there's Onyx Prime. I know there's Liege Mag. No, I don't even remember anymore. But it's definitely cool. I do like that venting design I did in the neck, which is definitely something I wanted to do, just to kind of give him weird proportions. And there are definitely missing parts, which are what I consider the emotion removal, like all the eyes, how everything's supposed to move, the way his voice enhancer is. So that's why it's kind of has a gnarly gap, and you can definitely see through it. So that's definitely intentional. Throughout the body, you can definitely see that this was definitely meant to torture him, because even when you articulate the legs, the panels come out, which is also intentional for torture reasons. So it's hard for him to walk. It's brittle. These bones stick out. They bother him every time he moves. And that cannon too, he even has his hands there that just don't move, and this piece that has to come out every time he moves. So, and then these kind of ports over here are meant for no possible ability for movement. So when he moves, it's just hard for him to spread out. He can't really move too much. And that's just the whole design of Shockwave. I'm keeping him upper, but let's look at the lower design for a bit, because I do need you to get a sense of scale of how large he is. So let's use this little stud piece. I don't know if you can see it. Yep. And we'll compare that to Shockwave. So this is not necessarily like an actual person, but since there's no smaller Lego pieces, at least from what I can find, consider this a comparison between a human and Shockwave. Really large. You know, it's like Bayverse, but kind of bigger in a lot of ways. So as you look down the body, it's supposed to be really lanky. It's like supposed to be just kind of terrifying. It's not terrifying. I don't see it terrifying because it's a creation. If you do it in kind of art, make dioramas out of it or something, or give him a view, you definitely would see it a lot more terrifying. So, yeah. Accessories, though, he does come with quite a few. He comes with these extension pieces, a hinge for the ultimate mode, and then the ultimate mode, which I'm definitely going to show off later because we'll go straight into it. So this mode is a lot more different than you were to think. So as we look closer to the head, you can see there's separation here, and that's kind of intentional, where every time he kind of speaks too much or something, it comes out a lot and it starts to fall off as it's not fully connected, which is why he's pretty much stuck to logical or illogical, or he has more statistics than just kind of emotional. So, I mean, to take it off is just super easy. You just connect it off with a ball joint, then we're stuck with the head sculpt. So, to put him into pre-ultimate mode, you just simply take these off. Once you add the extension pieces, you take the eyeball off, and then you mount the hinge. Then you put these pieces in, not so hard, and as you can see, the last part, you just simply shove in the ghastly eyeball, and then there it is. The second form, which just simply connects to the head, and it's definitely a lot more weirder. The head kind of just splits open. The eyeball's articulated, like you can move it side to side. You can even rotate it to make it look up and down. But definitely just to haunt people. Like, this is definitely more of an observant one. I don't really know what he would use this for, but it's a form. And in the final form, you just want to kind of take that out. And then once you find this piece, just kind of simply peg the port in. Doesn't really matter which way you rotate it, just as long as it's kind of in a certain position, and then you connect the head in. And then that's the final form, which is more disturbing, to say the least, as this version is pretty much just a different version of Shockwave, or just a weird intestine type thing, or tube, or organ, I don't know what you would call it, but just simply shoots out of his eyeball, and you just get this weird tubey thing. So depending on how you want it, you can just have, you know, kind of these pieces out, and you can just have it like that, and he just kind of stares down at people. But I just think I find it more better to have it just looking kind of odd, ugly, and weird, which is just always coming out and stuff. Even has that hole for people who don't like holes, like that kind of holophobia, I don't know what it's called. He has it quite around here, so you can definitely give some weird looking poses at him. So, and you can actually have him hold a human too, but that's not canonically accurate. He also comes with this hammer that you will see a lot in a lot of my Transformers, because I don't want to break it. So if you want, you can have him have the hammer, but that'll fall almost instantly, so not really worth it. Alright, I'm gonna put the head back into its motion, and then we'll go straight into articulation and then temporary size comparison. Alright, now deep breath, sorry. Without further ado, let's get straight into articulation, which, as you can tell, is pretty straightforward. So there's a ball joint at the ball joint connect at the top of the neck. No, there's a ball joint at the base of the neck and the ball joint at the top of the neck, or connector, because as you can see, so the head can go up that far, down that far, tilt side to side, rotate all the way around, possibly for some transformation. Pretty good all around. You can even shift these up too. The neck actually had some plans to articulate, because this is like the double connector, but I don't really think it even articulates without breaking something, because it's connected by a stud, so it kind of keeps the ball joint from articulating together. Still pretty cool. Alright, so we're gonna go down the arms. There's no articulation in the torso whatsoever. It's like you can't move it without ruining everything, so. But there's a shoulder joint, there's a double hinged shoulder pad at, of course, the shoulder connection. So it can go out all the way, revealing a ball joint and a hinge. So you do have to be careful with the ball joint and the hinge. So the ball joint can go outward about that far. Definitely loosens up the hinge. So that's why you kind of have to lock that in. It still doesn't really help much though, does it? It really doesn't help that much, but for some reason this one's a lot more stiffer. So you kind of have to be careful with that, because that is just super loose. Depending on how you balance it, like this with this loose 90-degree band, and then a ball joint right here. Kind of hard to focus with a teeny tiny phone with the piece just coming out. Okay. The hinge actually does help a lot with it going down. Doesn't significantly connect back in, but it helps with stability, and it also helps with direct measure. Everything's starting to come out, so I'll be right back. Sorry for the pause. The leg decided to kind of break up out of the nowhere, like relationships sometimes when everything's going perfect. Anyways, so he has the 90-degree band. It's very loose though. Like, you don't really focus on it too much because it kind of just flops. And then there's the ball joint that can go backward and forward and all around. Individually articulated fingers. This would have been nice if these moved, but they kind of just swivel. The legs are a lot more different. There's also rotation here, but I don't want to risk that because that'll come off. But when you move this piece does need to come out in order for the hinge to come out, and then you articulate the whole ball joint. And then you can fixate on that. We're just kind of keeping him there. There's a ball joint at the hip skirts, which can go backward that far. Can go forward, actually increasingly a lot. Like it goes, I'm not going to try and move it, but it can go out a lot. 90-degree bend, although this one does have different, like 2 joints. There's a 90-degree bend that goes out about that far. And the ball joint that can tilt side to side, go backward and forward slightly. So, as an intentional loose hinge goes out. Alright, now that we're here for comparisons, this is definitely when we can start getting into the good stuff. Because he's pretty big, like compared to this average minifigure. Oh, he's pretty tall. Like that's really, really big. We also have a random helmet if you ever want to do the size comparison. Like anyone cares. I'm just going to do some random size comparisons as that kind of fell, and then go straight into good ones. So we have a blade, which is if you have these lying around, you probably don't. He's still pretty tall. Let's get into more serious comparisons. We'll start with a good one. We're going to start with from 2 different genres. We're going to do the concept art series Megatron, which is a good figure, by the way. He does have issues, but right here, they don't necessarily fit into the frame, though. He's pretty big. Like, based on that comparison alone, Megatron is really big. We're also going to do G1 with Ironhide. Oh, you can definitely tell the fuzziness on that. It's not that great. But, pretty short. We'll do actually. We'll do Bumblebee movie with yet another Ironhide. And then we'll go from Transformers 1. So, we have Bumblebee movie yet again. And then we'll do Transformers 1, with it being my next review. The Transformers 1 Transformers 1 Bumblebee from Transformers 1, or technically B127. This guy's actually great. I don't know if I can zoom in, because maybe that'll actually help with the reviews a lot. So he's definitely gonna be one of the characters that it's gonna have a different background and everything. So you can definitely get a look at all of those. So he's definitely my next review. Expect that. But he's pretty big. This sword does not come with the figure. I just used this for a random Hasbro. But it doesn't come with the figure. So pretty good though, overall. And then we have one of the other characters, that being Transformers 1 Megatron. Don't even ask. And then we have a character I did want to show you guys for quite a long time. I wasn't in it in a few lives, but currently he's at the prototype stage. I'm very excited for you guys to see him. This is your first time ever seeing him. I do need to finish his color deco, but we have the Revenge of the Fallen / Transformers 2007 Optimus Prime. I'm sorry you had to see it in such a kind of fuzzy looking, I don't know what you would call it, but you can definitely see him up close. Like, it's a lot better, but you can definitely see he doesn't reach Shockwave's height at all. Like, he's very short compared to Shockwave, and he's even slanted too, so if I were to keep him upright, he definitely would be a lot taller. But this is actually your first look at him since all my videos. I've actually worked on him for quite a long time. I'm actually going to get some of the parts in soon to finish him. So, expect that sooner rather than later. I do need to finish the back, though. But he's currently in prototype stage. He's really fragile, especially on those shoulder joints and on the legs. So, don't expect a review. Well, expect a review of him, but not anytime soon, as this is definitely a long process. I mean, yeah, that pretty much wraps up this whole review for Shockwave. I mean, I had such a really great time definitely reviewing him. His posing is a lot more harder to get with all these shoulder joints kind of going out of the way, breaking all of a sudden because of loose joints. I don't really expect you guys to want a tutorial for him, although he looks cool. He's definitely something just to stand in the shelf and to look great. Overall rating, let's decide. So for overall rating, it's a lot more harder to do that. So we're gonna do it by articulation, size, how tall he is, his accessories, how well he fits into the collection, and quality controls. So articulation, it's not that bad, but it's not that great either. Like, there are limitations that definitely ruin it, but these articulated fingers are definitely something to come by. So articulation, I would consider it in, but by slightly, not by a long shot or not by a lot. So, and then the second one is comparison. He's really huge, really big, which was the main intention to make him larger than others. He's technically a later class, kind of like the Bayer Shockwave, so that fits in all to the right places. He kind of can fit into any collection depending. Like, if this is what you wanted your Bayers to look like, sure, go ahead. I don't even care. But how well he fits into the collection, which is what we've already talked about. I actually kind of forgot most of the things I was talking about, so I'll just rant on. Accessories, those are really great. Like, although they're not that much, like, they're not blast effects, there's pretty much enough pieces to have fun with it, so I don't consider it bad. Like, the ultimate mode, I don't consider that bad. It's pretty cool, it's pretty good. I'm satisfied with it. I didn't want to get too much, because it would have definitely ruined him already than he already kind of is. It's not really that great looking. Stability in QC. There's a lot of unstabilityness, like definitely you can already tell by that looseness. It's not like, the engineering does not help him by a lot. Like, it does not at all. It's a lot of factors that kind of don't qualify for Shockwave that definitely make him stick out like a huge sore thumb. It doesn't even count. Like, it's not even that great. I like the cannon though, but there's so much detail here that are unpacked. And overall perspective, as is in the final review, he's fine. He has this color mismatch. This is like some purple, some blue, some white. Even though it's an intentional design, I do see why certain people would definitely hate this design, as there are some aspects of it that really do kind of give it a turn off, as most of the colors, the shading, don't really fit a Shockwave, especially the way that head is composed. Like, that is pretty cool to me. I had fun doing this, but I can definitely see why people probably will not like it. So I'll probably figure out a way to get that double jointed neck design in there, but overall I don't really give it too much sense. Still pretty cool though. I want to see. Oh, that's not great. Still pretty cool though. I have to end it just right now, so I'll give this a decent 7 out of 10. Not the greatest, not the best, still pretty good. But I'm gonna go end this right now. I'll see you guys in the next one, which should be Bumblebee.